Well, welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you here. I wanted to take a minute and just introduce ourselves a little bit because not everyone knows who everyone is. So if you're a long-time patient here at Elevate, you probably know who Dr. Devin is. He is the one that built this beautiful space. And Devin and I have been friends for a long time. He's a great chiropractor. And when he built this, I said, man, this is such a nice space. I dream of having a space like this so we can do events and stuff like this in it. And a few years later, he dreamed of moving down to Florida, so it worked out really well for both of us. Dr. Wilson moved to a new house nearby here at around the same time, so he took over all of Dr. Devin's patients. And during COVID, Dr. Blaine came a part of Elevate and joined forces. Dr. Blaine has a wealth of experience. He's been in practice 40 years. He started being a he's not that old. He started at 10. So and I'm the chiropractor over at Generations Family Chiropractic. Dr. Wilson and I worked together over there, so most of you will know him. And then this is our team back here as well too. So we got Michelle, my beautiful wife, Hannah, and Enoch, and Brooklyn, she's our newest team member, and Emma. So they helped put on this amazing night and organized everything and got everything working so that us as docs could spend some time focused and putting together this amazing talk so that we can give you some great information, but not only great information, some information you can action. And because information without action doesn't lead to transformation, but information with action does. So that's what it's all about tonight. And I wanted to share my story a little bit about why I became a chiropractor.
First of all, what's your name?
Oh, that's a great Thank you so much. First, you'll introduce yourself, tell people your name. Thanks so much. But I love doing nights like this because this has honestly been a passion of mine to do since I was a little kid. I became a chiropractor in my own mind at 8 years old, honestly, because I wanted to do it ever since. Because when I was 5, I was in a bad go-kart accident. I didn't know it at the time, but it damaged my spine. Within a few months after that go-kart accident, I started developing all these weird symptoms. Stomach aches, mostly I could barely eat. So my mom took me from doctor to doctor, test to test, medication to medication, and they were scheduling me for an exploratory surgery to try to figure out what was wrong. And when my mom's friend Carol said, why don't you go see my chiropractor? And that chiropractor, I'll tell you guys, he changed my life. He got down to the root cause of the problem, which he called subluxation. If you don't know that term, it means interference in your nervous system, or misalignments causing interference. And when he corrected that, everything in my body started to work better. And my body healed, just like it's designed to. Did you guys know your body is designed to heal, right? And so I never needed the surgery. I got off all the meds very, very quickly. And I remember because it happened really quick. It was like my 3rd adjustment or something like that, very early on. I remember walking out, holding my mom's hand. I could still visualize his office and saying, this is what I want to do. And what I was thinking but didn't verbalize was, I want to educate people so chiropractic is a first resort. It's not a last resort, like it was for me. I want people to understand that the body is designed to heal. So when the nervous system is functioning at its best, they will function at their best. And I wanted to teach people how to be healthy. Even as a 5-year-old, I was actually giving my friends and myself exercise routines and nutrition and stuff like that. So it's always been a passion of mine. Now I didn't say it all like that to my mom as we were walking out. I just remember saying, I want to be a chiropractor when I grow up, right? As a little 8-year-old. So it's always been a big vision, and I have a big vision for this city. I'm born and raised here in Calgary. I love Calgary. Did you guys know Calgary is one of Canada's healthiest cities and one of the most active cities, if not the most active city? That's a pretty cool thing about Calgary, right? I'm a born and raised Calgarian, so I'm patriotic for our city. But people tend to value health here more than the rest of the country. That being said, we're still only marginally healthier than the rest of Canada. But my vision is that if we can teach people health, we can empower people and equip people to change their health and take responsibility. Man, we could put Calgary on the map, and Health Canada might look at it and go, what the heck's going on here with Calgary? Why are all the health stats flipped? why is the cancer rate so low? Why is obesity so low? Why do people sleep so great here? Why do they have such good social interactions here? These kinds of things, right? And if we can replicate that, man, we can change it across the country. Now, I can't do this on my own. This, honestly, guys, relies on the power of people as well, too. And so for you guys, what it, number one, it means committing to action and learning to live this lifestyle for yourself. We call it the 5 essential max living lifestyle. So if you're a guest here today, that first step is to get your nervous system checked. You'll have that opportunity today. It's a simple, easy first step. If you're a patient, it means continuing to come out to nights like tonight and learn about how to improve your health. And then also take action. And every night like this, we have a challenge at the end of the talk. So take action on that challenge and work at improving your health. Health is not a destination, it's not perfection, it's a journey. And you're not going to be perfect at it, but take those steps and move forward in that positive direction. Number 2, it means that you have some responsibility for your circle of influence as well too. Even if we exhaust everyone we know, all our Facebook friends and all that kind of stuff, and we try to impact as many people as possible, you guys all still know people that will never have the opportunity to impact if you don't tell them about some of the things that you learn, right? And go out and meet teachers, many teachers, what you learned here tonight, or tell them to come get their nervous systems checked. So just like, you know, my mom's friend Carol told us about her chiropractor, and it radically transformed my life, right? You could do that for somebody else. So that means talking to your neighbors, your friends, your pet groomer, the guy who changes your oil, whatever it is. Chiropractic is for everybody, right? These health talks are for everybody. So if you think of anybody, you know, grab a back sheet of one of the papers, write someone's name down in there. You can give it to us if you want. You can just use that as an intention to talk to that person and say, you need to, you know, go get checked out or come to the next event. Because really, you know, we have a big mission, like I said. We have a big why. Our heart is to change generational health and inspiring generations to build true health utilizing these 5 essentials. So for you guys who don't know what the 5 essentials are, the max living 5 essentials, proper functioning nervous system, that's what we do as chiropractors. You can probably guess nutrition was a 5 essential as well too, right? A healthy mindset, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, relational health, that kind of thing. We call that mindset. Minimizing toxins in our environment, our food, all that kind of stuff. And then and exercise as well too. And so what that is that is an inside, we call that above down, inside out approach. Versus most people look at health from an outside in approach, right? A medication to solve a symptom, right? We want to actually focus on healing the body from above down, inside out. And that's giving the body the best so that it can heal and function at its best. So what are we going to cover today? Right? Today we're going to talk about sleep. What is sleep? Why do we sleep? Why is it so important that we get good sleep? What causes sleep problems? And some tips and strategies as well too for some amazing sleep. Now, hopefully I'm not too boring yet, but and I'm not putting you to sleep yet. But to avoid that, what I want everyone to do is we're going to do a little fast speed exercise, get the blood pumping, and get some oxygen to our brain, so that we can learn a lot tonight and apply it. So everyone, I want you all to stand up for me. You guys don't know what fast speed is? You've been to our talks before. We usually start off with doing a little bit of fast speed. You know, go fast as slow as you want. March, legs. All right, let's get the blood pumping, get it moving. All right, stop for a second. All right, just shake it out a little bit. Move your arms down. Okay, do some fast speed again here. All right, good. That is, now we're ready. Go.
All right. Like Dr. Stephen, I am a native Calgarian as well, so I've been here for a few years myself. And so just before tonight's talk, I actually had the paper boy drop off a paper at my front door. And it was Newsflash that he came across, and this is what it said right on the front page. It said, scientists have discovered a revolutionary new treatment that makes you live longer, enhances your memory, and makes you more creative. It makes you more attractive, it keeps you slim and lowers your food cravings, it protects you from cancer and dementia. It wards off colds and flus and lowers your heart attack risk and stroke, not to mention diabetes. It'll even make you feel happier, less depressed, and less anxious. Are you guys interested?
Yeah.
Okay, it might sound too good to be true, but it is not, and it's not a wonder drug. It's actually sleep. So the proven benefits of a full night's sleep is what I just described. Even William Shakespeare in the 1600s said in Macbeth, sleep is the chief nourished in life's feast. So there you go. All right, so he knew about sleep way back in the 1600s. All right, so this is what I hear an awful lot of from folks. I'm tired. I didn't sleep a wink last night. I just laid in bed staring at the ceiling. My husband snores all night long. So we're just not getting the sleep that we need. It's one of the most common complaints I hear from patients. Sleep is essential to human function, yet many North Americans are not sleeping well. The problem may be more severe than we think. One study actually shows that 50 to 70 million Americans suffer from a sleep disorder. That's a huge number. The same study reported that 1 in 3 don't get adequate sleep, and 40% of adults accidentally fall asleep during their day, their working day. Kind of shocking. So, it's not just about feeling more awake the next day. Sleep is the time when our body heals. It actually recovers and restores its normal function during sleep. It's built into our innate mechanisms, so when it's interfered with, consequences start building in the body that can have negative ramifications. So sleeping routinely less than 6 hours a night may weaken your immune system, causing cancers, cause heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, play a role in diabetes and insulin resistance, obesity, and even anxiety and depression, and suicidal ideation is on that list as well. So, lots of people brush off their sleeping problems. So here are some warning signs to wake you up to the potential of sleep deprivation. Okay, so now these are just signs, they're actually not the problem. Okay, so you're irritable and moody. Ask my wife, I'm like that every morning. Just kidding. You're unable to focus or remember, your blood pressure starts to increase, you get frequent coughs and colds. You sleep late on weekends, that's a big indicator that people are trying to catch up for their a week of lack of sleep. Your blood sugar is creeping up, you can't shed those extra pounds, and you consume caffeine daily. And some of us keep hitting that snooze alarm over and over again. That's one of my favorites. Okay, the significance of sleep extends far beyond its duration. It's the quality of sleep plays a vital role as well. So your restfulness and your daily functionality not only hinge on the amount of sleep, but also the distribution of sleep in the various stages. Now, a new study suggests that chronic sleep deprivation causes overactivity in your brain's self-cleaning mechanism, which leads to destruction of healthy brain cells. So your brain is eating healthy cells. Not a good idea as a result of sleep deprivation. Okay, so even your mind releases things that have built up all day long, just like your body purges things with digestion and among other things. So they're worry, stress, feeling overwhelmed, emotions that run wild. These are all released chemically during sleep. Now, more importantly, your brain detoxifies as well. Biotoxins, heavy metals, infectious bacteria. Those are cleared through your brain's lymphatic system in deep sleep. It's called lymphatic flow, which is related to the glial cells in your brain. But one of the sticky proteins that is called beta amyloid, which is linked to the cause of Alzheimer's, it actually gets deposited in your brain with inadequate sleep. So night after night, year after year, there's more deposition of that amyloid protein, and that's been linked to Alzheimer's. Okay, so now let's talk about the difference between males and females with sleeping. Females innately get about 7.8 hours per night, men about 7.7. Now, although the difference in sleep time is rather insignificant in terms of duration, it's not entirely trivial. It could be 20 to 40 minutes. But females tend to experience a higher percentage of deep REM sleep, And compared to males, females are more likely to suffer from insomnia, whereas males suffer from sleep apnea. And females have a greater buildup of sleep pressure that I'll describe later throughout the night from adenosine, which causes them to get into deep sleep quicker. And that's good, because if they're more prone to anxiety, that's where they get the benefits of sleep in terms of reducing that anxiety while at night. So men require less sleep, but those who sleep only 5 or 6 hours a night actually have shown to have lower testosterone levels comparable to a guy who's 10 years older than that individual is. So that's quite a bit. So if the mindset is I'm tough and I don't need much sleep, that might work for a day or two, but it's not a good long-term strategy. So if you want good testosterone levels, good lean body mass, mentally sharp, good libido and good sexual performance, adequate sleep is very important. So how many hours should a person sleep? It's kind of dependent upon how old you are. Me, 2 hours. Newborns, 14 to 17 hours per night, or per day. That's now their sleep is polyphasic, which means it's interrupted and broken down into multiple segments through the day. So us as parents, getting used to a kid waking up in the middle of the night, and then when they're sleeping through the day, most young parents also sleep through the day with their child. Okay? But this is the highest percentage sleep that a newborn has is called REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, and that's when the brain is going through building its conductivity. So that's a very important time for building connections in the brain for a kid. That's why youngsters learn languages and music way more effectively than us adults, because their connection in their brains is building significantly as they're going through their youth. And in fact, as we tend to age, our body naturally breaks down a lot of those communications that it feels are redundant. Okay, but a newborn, like a city being constructed, that's what happens in their brain while they're sleeping at night. Now, as we age into adulthood, our sleep becomes continuous. No more naps, Doug. Okay. But if we get less than 7 hours of sleep, which a lot of people do, that's not good for our health. Now, there's a Gallup poll. I'm going way back, and this is even before I was born. Okay. So in 1942, there was a Gallup poll that was done. Hey, it's working. There was a Gallup poll done that found the average adult sleep was 7 hours, 55 minutes. And today, that duration of sleep has dropped to 6 hours, 31 minutes. So almost an hour and a half drop. So, what's happening in our world that's making us not sleep as well, and we're becoming sleep deprived? And it's also impacting our health significantly. Okay, now there's a small population in the world that possess a gene that allows them to sleep for 6 hours and function well in society. But that's a very rare gene, and it's supposedly 1 in 10,000 people that have that gene. So I know there's a couple of you think that you possess that gene, okay? You may not, so the chances are you're doing more harm than good and you require more sleep. Okay, now here's the phases of sleep. Light, deep, REM. In the deep sleep, we can call it non-REM sleep, or and rapid eye movement is when we do our dreaming. So non-REM sleep and REM sleep actually alternate in a push-pull battle while we sleep. The non-REM occurs early on when we sleep. When we go from light sleep into a deep sleep, that's where we start losing memories of the day that are problematic, and we decide what works for our body. And then when we slip into the REM sleep, that's the dream phase, and that's when we start building beneficial connections that lead to emotional stability. So the NREM happens earlier in the night, and REM occurs later, and it cycles about 3 to 5 times in a 7 to 9 hour cycle. Okay, now when we get into a circadian rhythm, circa means around, and dia means day. So essentially, we are born with an internal 24-hour clock. And that gives us a rhythmic signal to every region of our body, including our brain. So not only does it affect our sleep and wakefulness, but it also can play a role in our hunger and our eating times, our mood and emotions, and core temperature, metabolic rate. That's all related to a cycle that occurs in our body on a 24-hour basis. What's fascinating is athletic performance can also be affected by our circadian rhythm. For example, if you want to break an Olympic record, you want to do it at your peak in mid-afternoon when your circadian rhythm is at its max. So just for you athletes, which I know all of you are, okay. Usain Bolt, who is the sprinter from Jamaica, who's an 8-time gold medalist and an Olympic record holder in the 100 and the 200 meters, he was notorious for his late morning naps before he competed in the afternoon. So it works for Usain. Okay.
Naps were good then.
There you go. Sorry, Doug. I apologize. Okay, so I get asked about melatonin an awful lot, but it's usually in reference to it like a supplement, and it doesn't assist with sleep. Your brain naturally triggers melatonin release when it starts perceiving darkness, like during sunset. So melatonin doesn't really generate sleep, but it just starts with the onset. It makes us feel sleepy. So it gives your brain and your whole body the idea of feeling sleepy. So it's not a powerful sleep aid, but it actually just initiates the process. So just as melatonin is triggered with darkness, light and sunshine give us a jolt, kind of like the winding a watch. And so we get serotonin among other neurotransmitters, one of which is called adenosine. And adenosine starts shortly after we wake up, and it accumulates all day long as we are awake, and it builds sleep pressure. So our sleep pressure is kind of works with two factors. One, the circadian rhythm, and the other one, which is the sleep pressure from the buildup of adenosine. So adenosine is a chemical that builds up in your brain, it accumulates, and it increases our desire to sleep. So it almost creates an irresistible urge to sleep. So those of you people that actually fight that urge and stay up for, let's say, 24 hours, that adenosine keeps building up. You may get a bit of a burst where your circadian rhythm starts to have sunshine and wake you up a little bit, but eventually you'll succumb to the adenosine accumulation. Unless you get into the next thing, which is caffeine. Caffeine works by battling with adenosine for the privilege of going into those receptors in your brain. So the caffeine goes into those receptors and keeps adenosine out. So it hijacks those receptors and blocks the sleepiness. So it's the most widely used and abused psychoactive stimulant that we have. It circulates, peaks at 30 minutes after drinking it, and its half-life, in other words, your body metabolizes half of it out of your system after 5 to 7 hours. So it takes another 5 to 7 hours to move that out. So if you're having a nice cup of coffee with dessert, you're metabolizing that stuff for almost 10 hours as it gets out of your system. So wise idea to stop drinking coffee if you want to sleep before around noon hour. Okay, now stress hormone. Cortisol takes a bad rap. Cortisol is partially made by our adrenal glands, and it's therefore our fight or flight type response. And that's good in certain circumstances. It makes you feel happy. Dr. Sarah Gottfried, in her book, The Hormone Reset Diet, says that cortisol raises blood pressure, but only when it needs to. It raises blood sugar, but only when you need it most, and it modulates your immune system. But in our modern life, we're in a constant flight, fright type situation, and so that's why we're not sleeping. So if your day is feeling constantly chased by a bear, you're not going to sleep at night, and that can result in excess body fat, anxiety, and extreme fatigue. Okay, so there's a normal cortisol curve. Cortisol orchestrates other hormones. You typically want it to peak at around 8 o'clock in the morning, and then slowly go down as we're progressing through our day. That allows us to sleep at night. Okay, and it kind of works like an energy pill that that you take early and then it wears off through the day. Now you can, if you have a bit of if you get too much cortisol later in your day. So for instance, you're on the internet late at night having a political argument with somebody at 9 o'clock at night and you're jazzed up, or you're exercising at 10 o'clock at night, you know, that gets your metabolism going. Those things are going to also give you a bit of an adrenaline burst that's not going to allow you to sleep. Okay? So what you want to do is, instead of winding yourself up, you want to wind yourself down. All right. Okay, what are the effects of adrenal fatigue? High blood pressure, elevated inflammation, decreased blood flow, leading to poor digestion. So, let's slip over to napping now. There we go. It's good for you, Doug. Napping can improve your learning and alertness, your memory, and your concentration, as well as it can help regulate your emotions. You cannot regain, however, deep sleep from loss of a good night's sleep by napping, because the sleep debt is not like a bank that you can refill with a nap. You lose the benefits of the good sleep if you don't get good sleep, if you get sleep deprived, and so you can't pay it back. So again, you won't recover what's lost neurochemically or hormonally with a nap. So why is it that we don't have a system of checks and balances as far as our body is concerned? Well, it's because we're the only species on Earth that actually delays our sleep. And so we stay awake long before the sun goes down. And most mammals, their melatonin have that increase. I learned this as well. Worms and insects have sleep cycles too. Giraffes. Okay, I wonder if they nap.
They're very short.
Yeah, they each one has a short cycle.
They
Okay.
sleep like 2 hours a day or something.
There you go. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about is my rhythm is not your rhythm. 40% of people on the planet here reach their peak wakefulness in the morning. 30% are more energized in the evening, and some 30% fall a bit between that. They may lean more towards the evening. Now, so whether you're a morning person or a night owl is largely determined by genetics. And unfortunately, in our society, our schedules tend to favor morning people and put night owls at a bit of a disadvantage. So, tough break.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you all understand now that poor sleep is just a symptom. It's not the problem, right? There's a sign that something else is going on, meaning there could possibly be some sort of interference within your nervous system that is now affecting your sleep. And so, when we look at your nervous system, you got the sympathetic portion and the parasympathetic portion. Again, Dr. Blaine kind of mentioned this, but sympathetic is that fight or flight response, right? It's, for example, you're running away from a bear, right? You want to have that alertness to be able to do that. Now, for the parasympathetic, that's your rest and relax. So that actually aids in your digestion and your sleep. And so one of the things that is very common nowadays is that we all lead very chaotic and busy lives, right? We're constantly on the go. And when that happens, your nervous system gets stuck in this sympathetic dominance. And when that happens, your body can't function properly or function efficiently. And so one of the things we do here in the office is we actually test this. So that's with an HRV scan, right? That's the heart rate variability or a nerve scan. And what these scans show is that balance, and not only that, it shows how adaptable your nervous system is as a whole. And so one of the things is your nervous system is becoming more and more recognized as one of the most important aspects of your health and how it keeps you healthy, right? And so when we adjust you, specifically the upper portion of the neck, that actually starts to balance that sympathetic and parasympathetic balance. So we're actually releasing that gas pedal, that's like pedal to the floor, right? And that's gonna help now allow your body to heal and function better. And so one of the most common things I hear during a progress exam when I ask them, what's the most beneficial effect you've seen since getting adjusted? Most people will say, I'm sleeping so much better, right? And that has impacts on literally every single aspect of your health. And so if that one thing that chiropractic did was to just help you improve your sleep, you'd live longer, you'd be healthier, you'd lose weight, you'd have better mental health, you'd have more clarity and energy throughout the day. But that's not all it does, right? There's so many more benefits to chiropractic care. And so, if you want to improve your sleep and literally every other aspect of your health, again, like Dr. Steven mentioned, we want to pay attention to the 5 essentials, right? So that's, again, chiropractic care, taking care of your nervous system. Nutrition, mindset, oxygen and exercise, and minimizing toxins, right? When you address these core essentials, you'll start to notice your sleep dramatically improve, as well as your health. And so, now that you're all experts on the science behind sleep, let's go over some tips for healthy sleep. So the first one is temperature. So keeping it cool. So your brain actually needs to drop by about 2 to 3 degrees for it to initiate sleep. And that's why it's easier to actually sleep in a room that's a lot cooler than it is for a room that's much hotter, right? And so keeping your house cool, if you have a thermostat at home that allows you to set a time in the evening, do so, right? You can start to drop that room temperature. And for some of you, you might even sleep naked. Right now, everyone's kind of looking away, but it kind of makes sense if you do, because you're shedding away layers of clothes, you're shedding away that excess heat, and the theory behind that is that, well, actually, you also want to keep your feet warm, because the theory is if you keep your feet warm, that actually helps to coax blood away from your core, and so as that core temperature decreases, that's going to allow it to, again, aid in that sleep process. So, sleep naked with some socks on. Next one here. Relax with a bath or a shower. So taking a warm bath or a hot shower before bed can also really help. Right? When you get out of that hot shower, your body temperature drops. And it's that decreasing temperature again that actually stimulates that melatonin release. And so as, again, that core temperature plummets, and that's what causes you to feel sleepy. And also, it just feels nice to kind of settle down and relax your mind and body before bed. So that's a really good thing to try. And then number 3, setting the mood. So have a good routine before going to bed. So one thing is to dim the lights about 1 hour before bedtime, including the bathroom where you brush your teeth, right? And that's also part of that nighttime routine. Turn off distractions, so TVs, computers, laptops, your phone. You want to keep things a little bit more quiet in the household now. Slow things down, right? This prepares your body for rest. And possibly read a book, right? Not an adventure book or a crime book. You don't want to get yourself stimulated. So maybe something non-fictional. If you want a really good book on sleep, it's called Why We Sleep. And then again, just make this a routine. Now, number 4 is darken the room. If you think about it, we are a dark deprived society. Right? Before electricity, how did we get light? It was with candles, right? Fire, oil lamps. And fire, the interesting thing about that is it actually emits the same wavelength as the sunset. And so that's going to actually help stimulate that melatonin production again. And however, we've changed our relationship with darkness, right? With the invention of the light bulb, we've got iPad reading, we've got phone use. All these activities actually delay the release of melatonin by about 3 hours. And it actually reduces the production of it by 50%. And so, as a result, you get less REM sleep, you feel less restored. And so I would suggest, like in the last hour, start to turn off about like half of the lights in the home, right? That's actually gonna slowly trigger that melatonin release, and it actually induces that drowsiness. Now in your bedrooms and your bathrooms, I recommend using warmer tone lighting, so amber lights, right? And if you need help with sleep, try a sleep mask. I definitely recommend using blackout curtains. It's a game changer. Now, number 5, who here drinks coffee? All right, a lot of you, stop. I'm just kidding, but if you really want to improve your sleep, you want to start cutting out that caffeine, right? You can start off slow by weaning off of it with green tea or half calf. Now, for those of you who drink decaf coffee, be aware, there's still caffeine in that, about 3 to 10% of it compared to normal coffee, right? So you definitely want to avoid it later into the afternoon and into the evening. My rule of thumb is actually no coffee after 12 p.m., right? And if you're dealing with sympathetic overdrive or you have poor adrenal function, you actually want to cut off caffeine for about a month to allow your body to recalibrate. So stop drinking coffee. Now, you want to limit, number 6, limit alcohol. Now, alcohol turns into sugar, which actually causes you to wake up in the middle of the night, even if you don't know it, around 2:30 to 3 a.m., because you're getting an energy surge and an insulin spike. And so, most people often will use alcohol as a sleep aid, right? But it actually blocks that REM sleep, that REM cycle. And so, a nightcap, that small alcoholic beverage before going to bed, it doesn't work. It's a sedative, it's not a promoter of natural sleep. Now, number 7, workout, especially in the morning. One study found that if you're doing about 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per week, that actually resulted in about 65% improvement in your quality of sleep, which is amazing, right? So exercise doesn't just make you sleep better, it actually removes interference within your nervous system so that you can actually function normally. And so working out in the morning, that's probably the most beneficial, but working out any other time is a close second, right? For those of you who work out in the evening, like I said, you don't want to, you actually want to work out 2 hours prior before going to bed to allow your body to cool down. Number 8, put the phone down. I'm guilty of this. I use my phone a lot, but phones, laptops, tablets, they all emit blue light, which actually inhibits that melatonin production. And so that's going to interfere with your REM sleep. And so in your room, when you're in there, it should be pitch dark, right? There's a saying, what fires together, wires together. So if you're using your bed for activities other than sleep, you're actually tricking your brain to thinking that this is just another place for things to get done, right? And so you don't want to reinforce that association by bringing your laptop to the bed, checking emails, or just scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is on your phone, right? We want to retrain your brain to recognize that your bed is just for sleeping, right? You want your bedroom to be a sleep sanctuary. And so a good practice is to actually just plug your phone in, put it in another room, maybe your kitchen or something, and then if you need an alarm clock, get the old school one, right? But make sure it has very dim lighting. Now, getting sunshine, especially in the morning. So exposure to natural light plays a crucial role in resetting your internal biological clock, right? So that morning sunshine actually kickstarts the production of melatonin. Again, you already know this, but it's an essential hormone for regulating sleep. And along with evening sunsets, that also contributes positively to that biological clock. So a really cool thing to do is actually to wake up one day, watch the sunrise, and then that evening watch a sunset, and that actually helps to reset your circadian rhythm. Now, vitamin D, a vital supplement for the production of serotonin and melatonin, both of which influence your sleep patterns, which is why it's so important to supplement with vitamin D, especially living in Calgary, right? During the winter months, we actually don't get enough sun exposure to actually produce sufficient amounts of vitamin D. So most of us right now are probably deficient. Okay, you're the only one. Oh, we got 2. And then when you're outside, if you wear sunglasses, this can actually interfere with that hormonal process as well. So remove your sunglasses periodically just to give your eyes some sunlight exposure. A good practice is to actually just wear a hat instead of wearing sunglasses. Now, number 10, this one's a little hard for me. Skip the late night snacks. So ideally you want to avoid eating during the 2 hours before you go to sleep, right? So you don't want to go to bed too full. You also don't want to go to bed on an empty stomach, right? So you want to try to find that right balance. Now, if your diet is high in sugar levels, that can actually result in less deep sleep and more fragmented sleep. So things to avoid, I would say sugary sweets, chocolate. For me, it's ice cream sometimes in the evening. Simple carbs like bread, juice, high glycemic fruits such as watermelon, mangoes, pineapples, bananas. You want to eat those during nighttime. If you do choose to eat, you want to choose melatonin-forming foods, right? So anything that has quality protein contains melatonin precursors. So examples of that would be avocados, grass-fed whey protein, and organic or Greek yogurt. All that are melatonin-forming foods. So with that, I'm going to have Dr. Steven close us out here.
So as I'm listening to Dr. Wilson talk, I'm like, man, a lot of these tips are great tips for creating an exciting atmosphere, a nice atmosphere for the other great thing to do in the bedroom, right? So anyways, I just want to throw that out there. It might help a relationship a little bit as well too, so to implement some of these tips.
Keep your socks on.
Motivation. Exactly. But I mean, we talk about healthy eating every every single time. It's one of the 5 essentials, right? And so on maxliving.com we have a recipe section. And if you search that, there's hundreds of recipes, thousands of recipes on there. But you can actually type in advanced and get what we call the advanced plan recipes. And so healthy eating really is 5 essentials for a reason. It's a foundation for overall wellness. And this advanced plan, these recipes, are designed to be more of a short-term plan to help you reset and restore your health, to reduce inflammation, and to support detox as well too. So what it does is it actually encourages your body to use fat as a more primary energy source as opposed to sugar and carbohydrates. So it's the principles are simple. It's kind of keto-esque. This came along well before keto became a big thing. But what it is it eliminates grains and sugars. It replaces processed foods and snacks with full nutrient-dense foods. If you are going to choose any grains, you're going to choose in the recipe section sprouted whole grains over refined breads. It swaps out sugar for natural alternatives like stevia. When it comes to protein, if we want to focus on quality when it comes to protein. So we want to opt for things like grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, wild-caught fish, and honestly, high-quality protein sources aren't available, or they're too expensive like they are these days, it seems like. Then we want to try to limit the bad proteins and just eat less and eat more vegetables. So by following these guidelines, you can support your body's natural healing. You can help manage your weight as well too. It's going to improve your overall mood and well-being. And it's not a restrictive diet. This it's not a diet per se at all. It's just a way of eating. And when you do this, you can have as much food as you kind of want, because when you eat healthily, you're actually going to feel full when you need to feel full. Versus if you're eating a lot of processed foods, that food companies have figured out how to turn that feeling full switch off with their processed foods, so you eat more and more of it. So when you eat natural whole foods, though, your body naturally responds to that, and you're not going to continue eating. And then when it comes to sleep, there are nutrition supplements that can help with that as well too, right? We don't want to have. Ideally, we don't want to do a sleep medication, because every sleep medication out there doesn't allow you to get into that deep non-REM and REM sleep. It's more of a sedative. And so it just kind of turns off parts of the brain, but it doesn't allow your brain to do that self-cleaning, that pruning, and then building the beneficial connections. So these supplements here, we have them here just on display, but for order today, if you want to order anything, including the pillows or the sleep supplements, everything's 50% off. If you buy all 3, it's 20% off. Just wanted to throw that out there. But if you're, let me just kind of highlight them. If you're struggling to fall asleep at night, and maybe you have some low melatonin or something like that, Insomnitol is actually great for that. Some people think that if you supplement with melatonin, it turns off your body's natural ability to make melatonin. That's actually not true. That's a myth that's been perpetuated for who knows how long. And melatonin is actually a very good antioxidant. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, Insomnitol is great for that. Tri-Magnite has 3 forms of magnesium, and that helps calm the nervous system down. And it also helps with muscle aches and pains and stuff like that, as well as heart health. And so that one's a really good one if you're having trouble staying asleep in the middle of the night. And then when Dr. Blaine talked about those adrenal curves there, if you're someone that wakes up at 3 in the morning, you're having that tough time to fall back asleep, maybe you've got a lot of stress going on in your life, work stress, family stress, whatever it is, then Chemical Calm is a great supplement for that, as it helps regulate that nervous system response in your body, allows your body to come down. It has things like ashwagandha and adaptogenic herbs in it. It also has some magnesium in it as well too. It also helps balance your mood and supports your body's natural energy as well too. So tip number 11, consistent timing. We want to actually focus on going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every night. I know a lot of us like to sleep into the weekends, but that's actually a sign we're probably not getting enough sleep during the week. So I know this can be tough. I personally used to love sleeping in on the weekends. Now I have 2 small kids, so that does not happen. We have another one on the way. So, one of the mantras that I like to say about getting up early, because I like to get up early, because I basically go to bed after the kids do at 8:30, is that my commitments are stronger than my feelings in the moment. Okay? I'm a super cool person, right? I party the night away till 8:30. But my commitments are stronger than my feelings in the moment. Sometimes I have to say that to myself in the morning too, because I used to be a chronic snoozer as well too. I still struggle with that occasionally, but it's 1 or 2 times, not 15 like I used to when I was in university. But a simple rule of thumb is to use the 5-second rule. You hear the alarm go off, you just count to 5 to yourself, and you swing your legs out of bed, and you just get up, right? Now, what could change in your life, in your health, if you did get up that 30 minutes earlier? Right? Think about that. I want you to think about that when you're thinking about the snooze button, right? You could get up, you could do a 5-10 minute workout. Just moving the body a little bit.
Even 5 minutes.
5 minutes. It makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference.
It does. You could use that 5 to 10 minutes to do that, like, quick workouts and push-ups, sit-ups, whatever it might be, right? You could then go downstairs and make a healthy breakfast or a smoothie or something like that, right? You could read something inspiring to help set the day. Or you could just sit there and focus on some positive things about your day, set the intention for the day, and cast a vision, right? Now, who thinks that they'd have better days if they did something like that every morning, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? Now, what happens if you string a few of those together? You just created a great week, right? You string a few great weeks together, you've got a good month, right? You string a good month, a few good months together, you're on your way to a good year. And what do you think is going to happen if you do that consistently every day and you have a good year like that? Do you think that could change some things in your life? Absolutely. It could change your health, but also it could give you a promotion at work. It could improve your marriage. Whatever kind of things you set that intention for, with that little bit of extra time, man, it could make a huge difference, right? So, focus on that, right? Another tip: who wants 19% better sleep? Right? Make your bed. Right? I never used to make my bed. You know when you go to a hotel and you're like, oh, I love this bed. They're not that great. But it's because the bed is made for you. The sheets are nice and smooth. You actually get a better sleep when you make your bed. So, tomorrow, who's going to get up and make their bed so that the next night you have a better sleep? Right? You can even start tonight. You can make it tonight. Then go brush your teeth and get back to tonight. Many of us probably need to do that. It depends if my kids are jumping on the bed right now or not. Number 13. Getting adjusted regularly. We've been talking about the nervous system a lot, right? So many people, if you're not familiar with the way we talk about the nervous system, they think chiropractic is for aches and pains, but honestly, the adjustment is a powerful impact on your nervous system, especially when we have what we call decreased vagal tone. So those upper cervical adjustments that some people a little bit don't like, those are the best things for your sleep. Because your vagus nerve is a cranial nerve that comes right out of here, and it travels down and it connects with almost every organ in the body. And when it has good tone, everything in your body is healing and functioning at its best. It's a parasympathetic nerve, right? Versus if there's interference in that, then the sympathetic system gets stuck on, and it doesn't allow it to switch off into the brake mode, right? The gas pedal's just on constantly. So some warning signs that you might have some interference in your nervous system, or what we call subluxation, include things like headaches, irritability, numbness or tingling down the arms, leg, that's a big one, right? Digestive issues like I did when I was a kid, thyroid issues or difficulty losing weight, back or neck pain, sciatica, that's the nerve pain down the leg, acid reflux, bad sleep, ADD, ADHD, sensory processing problems, and for kids, some other things like not sleeping great, picky eating, speech and developmental delays, toe walking, ear infections, and frequent colds and flus. That can all be indications for you or your kids or your family that there's interference in your nervous system, right? And as we've been talking about, this plays a huge role in how your body heals and functions. If you're stuck in that fight or flight mode too much, you're in a survival state. Your body is not going to prioritize healing in a survival state. And so this is, by default, when disease is allowed to develop, when we're stuck in that mode, right? Again, we need that if you're being chased by a bear, or you've got a work deadline, or you want to pump some iron at the gym, right? But we also need it to calm down so we can heal and function at our best. Our immune system can function well, our hormones can be properly regulated, we can go to sleep, we can relax, all these kinds of things, right? And so I just wanted to share a story because in my practice, I've taken some extra courses to deal with kids and challenges with kids, and so I just wanted to share a recent one about this little gal coming into her office. She was diagnosed as neurodivergent or on the autism spectrum and had selective mutism. And we took her scans and she was in a sympathetic dominant state. And so that means her body's, stuck in that fight or flight mode. And we started adjusting her, and it was a challenge to adjust her at first. She didn't like the adjustments. She was, a little bit nervous about me and just being away from mom, so she'd spider monkey onto mom. So we adjusted her with instruments and finger pressure and stuff like that. And eventually we got her laying down on top of her mom and adjusted her that way a little bit, to the point now we've been taking that pressure off her nervous system, allowing that gas pedal to come off. That now she comes into the clinic, she does her warm-ups and wobbles. She goes into the room, she hops up on the table, she lays face down. She knows exactly what to do. She's a pro. She's the best face in the office. We do her adjustment. We finish off with a what we call the Supergirl adjustment. She stands up at the table, and I jump off, and she jumps off, and I catch her, and we do an upper thoracic adjustment as she's doing that. And then she just jumps off. She runs off into the vibes, and she's doing amazing, right? And she's been coming for a while. We had her on a corrective care plan. It was pretty intense, 3 times a week for quite a while to get some of these changes, because these things are things that are built up in the brain and have wired this way for a while. But Mom came in 3 weeks ago, and it just warms my heart, because she said, we graduated from speech therapy today. And I was like, what do you mean by that? I thought I knew what she meant, but I didn't want to get overly excited. And she's like, well, that diagnosis of selective mutism, they took it off. She's no longer considered that. And so it warms my heart. So I share that story because it demonstrates the power of a proper functioning nervous system versus one that has some interference in it, right? And it has such a big impact on every aspect of our health. So there's so many things out there that medicine says are incurable. And I've been in practice only 14 years, but I can tell you there are so many things that are said to be incurable that are not. Right? If we give the body what it needs and allow the body to do what it's designed to do, which is heal from above down, inside out, man, it makes an amazing difference, right? So, kind of switching gears here. How do we activate that sympathetic or that parasympathetic system? Another great way to do that, because you can't be getting adjusted, every 15 minutes when your boss stresses you out or something like that, is to do some deep breathing, right? There's lots of different breathing techniques out there. 2 of the ones that I really like is a double inhale followed by a long exhale. So it looks like, and you guys can all do that if you want as well too, right? I won't be offended if it gets all kind of noisy in here. And then another good one is box breathing. Have you guys ever heard of box breathing? Dr. Wilson mentioned it at our last talk, right? So it's a 4-second inhale, and then you hold that for 4 seconds, and then you 4-second exhale. Hold that for 4 seconds and repeat, right? Now, do you feel, if you did that just with me now, do you feel yourself getting a little bit calmer? Maybe even a little sleepy, right? Like you're actually helping turn on that parasympathetic state. Some cool things though, when you focus on breathing well, you're actually not just only improving your nervous system, you're actually decreasing your cancer risk. Did you guys know that? Right? Like we are not designed to sit for as long as we do throughout the day in front of computers and stuff like that. We're designed to be moving. And so Dr. Otto van Warburg, he won a Nobel Prize by discovering that when a cell becomes 70% deficient in oxygen, it has to switch its energy source from oxygen to sugar. And that by nature is what they now know is our cancer cells. So that means those cells are starting to turn cancerous. Now it can switch back and forth, but if it gets stuck on that, right, that's not a good thing, right? And so by doing these deep breathing things, you're lowering your cancer risk. Also getting exercise, that also lowers your cancer risk, because when you're working out hard, you're breathing deeper, you're improving oxygen throughout your whole body. And then the last tip, number 15, is sleep position. I get asked this 5 times a day. What's the best sleeping position I should be in, doc? It's like, number 1, the best sleep position is to lay flat on your back. If you got the seat rolls or the other molding rolls or wedges and things like that to help correct your spine, that's the best way to start off sleep. Now, nobody sleeps like Dracula all night long, flat on their back, right? So you're gonna wanna keep a nice, good pillow to your body, right? Many of us will turn onto our side. That's the second best way to sleep. is on your side. Now, if you're gonna do that, the best way to sleep on your side is to have a pillow that's thick enough that it keeps your head neutral. So we actually measure you for these kinds of pillows, for example, to make sure it's the right height between your head and your neck. So, because if it's too thin, you're gonna be doing this if it's on this side. If it's too thick, it's gonna push your head this way. And then sleep with the pillow in between the knees, so we don't get a rotated pelvis while we're sleeping, subluxating your lower back and things like that. Now, the third best sleep position is any sleep position that allows you to fall asleep. Because honestly, sleep is so important, right? So there are, those two better positions. People always ask me, should I sleep on my stomach? No, unless that's the only way you can sleep. But try to work on changing that. So this is where we take that information that you learned tonight, and this is where we start to put it into action and transform. Okay? So this is that 30-day challenge. I believe that is printed off and in your packet there. You can put that up in the fridge if you'd like. But this is how we get this amazing sleep. It's basically taking those tips and putting them into action. Unplug before bed. No phones in the bedroom. Black out your sleep sanctuary. Wake up at the same time each morning. Try to go to bed at the same time each night. Lower that bedroom temperature an hour before bed. Make your bed in the morning. Limit or eliminate caffeine, especially after 12 o'clock p.m. No sugar or alcohol at least 2 hours before bedtime. Exercise 10 minutes a day. Earlier on in the day is better. And then if you need some extra help sleeping, take one of those sleep supplements and use that to help you get better sleep. And then number 10, of course, is get adjusted. Now, you just learned how quality sleep can transform your health, but even the best sleep habits won't work if your body's out of alignment. Poor posture, spinal imbalances, all these things we've been talking about all night long can sabotage your sleep and mess your overall health. So if you're a guest here tonight, I'm inviting you to take that next step. To get checked out, get your nervous system checked. Now normally our assessment fee is $150 for exams, scans, and x-rays. If you're a guest here and you sign up tonight by giving one of those sheets there, there's sheets for each clinic, so make sure you're choosing the right location. You can hand that in when you're done, but make sure you have your name and phone number at the very minimum on that. And circle a time that works best for you, and then underline 2 or 3 times that are a good second option for you, just in case someone else wants that exact same time as you, right? So have some backups there. One of the things I like to say is don't wait for pain and discomfort to force you to act, right? That's being reactive. Let's be proactive with our health. Get your nervous system checked now, right? If you're thinking of family members as well tonight, kids, spouses that aren't here or something like that, put their name down as well too. You can circle a few times, or if you really can't, don't know their schedule, just as you hand it in, let us know, and we'll make sure to follow up with you, right? And so that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. Our next event, we're going to be doing more of these. Our next one is on June 4th, and this is an exciting one for a lot of people. It's on raising healthy families. So if you've got kids, young kids, this is a great one. But you don't have to have kids. You might be someone that never wants to have kids. That's fine too, because all the things that we're going to be talking about apply to just being healthy in general. And so June 4th, it's same bat time, same bat location here at this clinic here. Again, raising healthy families. So I hope this was very helpful for you guys. I hope you take that 30-day challenge and work on that. Now we're going to go on the honor system. If you guys do that 30-day challenge, come up and talk to us docs. In 30 days, we're going to do a draw for that sleep bundle for anyone who says that they did that. Okay? And tell us too how that changed your sleeping, right? How it changed your days, what effect it had on your relationships or your work or whatever, right? We need to be encouraged too as doctors. So, like I said, I hope that was helpful for you guys. We're going to have our staff going around helping, collect appointment sheets, or if you want to buy some supplements, you can do it back there. Us as docs, we're going to go around and I'm sure some of you have some questions. Feel free to come snag us and ask any questions you have. So that's it for tonight, guys. Have a great sleep.